Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, 5th to the 9th of December 1959. Penetration of the Five Dhammas. Sayadaw delivered 5 talks on the 5 Dhammas, the taints, asavas, action, Kamma, suffering, dukkha, sensuality, Kamma, and feeling, Vedanā, respectively. It based on a sutta in the Anguttara Nikāya, which mentioned totally 6 Dhammas, including perception, Sanna. But Sayadaw did not include it in his talks. Closing square bracket. T1. The Buddha said to the monks, the reason living beings were wandering in the round of existence because of not knowing the Dhammas which should be penetrated. According to the sutta, the 6 Dhamma is sensuality, feeling, perception, taint, action and suffering. Each one of them has 6 points to know. On the taints, asavas, 1. To know asavas, the taint of sensuality, kammasava, the taint of becoming, bhavasava, the taint of view, ditthasava, and the taint of ignorance, avijjasava. The first 3 of them are like the followers and ignorance is like a leader. In the sutta the Buddha mentioned 3 only without the view. 2. To know the cause. Ignorance is the leader and the other are functioning accordingly to its order. 3. To know the diversity. Living beings take rebirth in the 31 realms of existence. 4. To know the result, Kamma. 5. To know the cessation. To destroy avijjasava, i.e., ignorance ceases, the taints cease. 6. To know the path of practice for cessation, the Noble Eightfold Paths. In the early morning after wake-up ignorance comes in. With the order of ignorance and all the other taints follow to act for the whole day. Every day of experience is the functions of the 4 taints. Without mindfulness we suffer by them. With mindfulness it becomes the contemplation on Dhamma, Dhammanupassana. Every time they come and with sati contemplate its impermanence. I will talk on the 4th point, which is the result. There are many types of taints giving the results to hell, animals, hungry ghosts, human beings, celestial beings and Brahma gods. Most people think taints usually lead to the planes of misery, apaya boom. T2. On Kamma. Before talking on Kamma, I want to talk about wrong view on Kamma, Kamma vada sasatadati, i.e., viewing Kamma as permanent. It's very important. Most Buddhists say that before we are arriving at Nibbāna, we have to rely on Kammas. Why is that? Because it was mentioned in some of the discourses. Most Buddhists also think in this way. Kamma follows behind like an ox cart and shadow were taught accordingly to the Sattanta method. If you take it as a reality and it becomes wrong view of eternalism. It means as without changing. Kamma is volition and mental phenomenon. Making into aggregate, its mental aggregate, Sankharakanda. In the discourse of not self-characteristic, Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, it mentioned as Sankhara Anatta, volitional formations are not self. Therefore, it also has the nature of impermanence. If following like a shadow, mean it's not changing. Then, it's not anatta, not self, becomes self, atta. This is viewing Kamma with wrong view. Infer something indirectly to make it clear and take it meaning directly become wrong view. Regarding with the result of Kamma, some Kammas become fruitless and some are not. If not arriving to Nibbāna yet, then it's not fruitless yet. Kammic result can't follow directly, but you must take it as giving the same result. The action finished at the place where it had done. But it gives the same result at another place. If you take it as not following behind, then the view of eternalism is falling away. And take it as the same result arises, then the view of annihilationism also falls apart. The last 2 sentences are important to dispel wrong views on Kamma as permanence, sasata, and annihilation, akeda. The wrong view on Kamma comes from the Mahapanama Sutta of Majjhima Nikāya, which Sayadaw mentioned here. He gave a very simple example to clear up the mistaken view. There are 2 candlesticks. In the first candlestick has light. and the second does not. You take the first candle light and lights it to the second one. And then light arises in the second one. Does it mean the first light is following it to the second one? No, it doesn't. If it's really following there, the light of the first one will be gone out. Is the second light nothing to do with the first light, i.e., no connection? No, it has connection, the same thing is arising. If it's really following behind, the cause and effect become one or the same. They are not the same. Kamma is the cause and vipaka is the result. They are not the same nor different, but only cause and effect relationship. This point is very important. Practicing with wrong view will not realize the Dhamma. You have to know Kamma in 6 points. These are 1. To know the type of Kamma. 2. To know the cause of Kamma. 3. To know the diversity of Kamma. 4. To know the result of Kamma. 5. To know the cessation of Kamma. 6. To know the way of cessation of Kamma. 1. There are 3 types of Kamma, i.e., bodily, verbal and mental action. 2. What is the cause of Kamma? It arises by contact, phassa. As an example, if you don't see the foods, the desire to eat doesn't come. You see the foods and the desire to eat arise. The 3 kammas arise because of contact. 3. There are many diversities of kammas leading beings to hells, animals, hungry ghosts, human beings, celestial beings and Brahma gods. 4. The results of Kamma are the result will get in this life within 7 days, 7 months and 7 years. B. The result will get in next life. C. The result will get until before Nibbāna to the last life, until the last existence as an arahant, e.g., Mahamoggallana. 5. Nibbāna is the place where Kamma cease to arise. When the 8 path factors arise it ceases. Kamma ceases and dukkha ceases. Here contact phassa cease and Kamma cease. 6. Practice the noble 8-fold path Kamma will cease. Every time volitional mental state arises contemplate impermanence, then craving not arise. Whenever mind, body exists, the volition, Kamma, exists. Volition ceases and mind, body ceases. Physical Kamma with mind, body, verbal Kamma with mind, body and mental Kamma with mind, body, they are arising together respectively, sahajata pakaya, co-nascence condition. You don't need to have doubt as if volition ceases, mind, body cease or not. If you don't contemplate, you must get the mind and body because of volition. If you get mind and body, then old age, sickness and death will follow as the truth of dukkha. Kamma is creating round of existence of action, kammavata, and the result of round of existence, vipakavata. With the vipakavata has the defilement of round of existence, kilasavata. Not contemplate the volition with inside knowledge the 3 rounds of existence continue in cycle. Opening the eyes and close the eyes are kammas, wanting to open and close, these are volitions. But it does not need to contemplate only on volitions in the contemplation, all including with volition by contemplation on mind, feeling and Dhamma. No need to make a selection. T3. On dukkha, there are 6 points of dukkha are 1. To know dukkha, Sayadaw used dukkha which was mentioned in the first discourse of the Buddha. Birth is dukkha, jatipi dukkha. Look at back this dukkha you had before. Do you know it? No, you don't. It's ignorance. Old age is dukkha. Do you know you are burning with this heat element? Again you don't know it. This is the power of ignorance. Do you know sickness? You know, even animals know it. But you don't know the illness which always need for adjustment as dukkha, i.e., bodily dukkha or discomfort, as e.g., hungry and thirsty so we have to eat and drink etc. These are sankhara dukkha and there are more than that. There are a lot of things to do for the whole day. It's very important for contemplation to this kind of dukkha and has dispassion for the khandhas. Therefore, Dukkha is difficult to know. It will end only by understanding dukkha. Death is dukkha, maranam dukkha. Do you know it? You don't know it yet, because you are still alive. You can die at any time, but every day you can laugh and smile, means you don't know it. There are many dukkhas and covering up by ignorance that we don't know it. These are sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, etc. We have seen all of these every day. Do we know them as dukkha? No, we don't, and we think it as normal. Therefore, there is a saying, the truth of dukkha is not easy to know. The last dukkha is clinging to the 5 khandhas. This only can be known by insight knowledge. This dukkha always exists. Not everybody knows it. So it's covered up by ignorance. By penetration of dukkha and the origin of dukkha, i.e., samadaya dies. Therefore, the truth of dukkha is difficult to know. In all the truth it's the most difficult to know. If you know it will realize the ending of dukkha. The 5 khandhas are dukkha phenomena. It only ceases by thorough penetration, so I have to warn you on this point very often. In reality it's important to know the ever-changing dukkha of the healthy body, not the physical pain. Only the progressive yogi can know it. The kind of dukkha even can know by dog and pig, not realize Nibbāna. Rootless, ahetuka, and two-rooted, divehetuka, person can't know it. Only 3-rooted person, tihetuka, can know it. Even tihetuka person can know it by discerning the highest level of impermanence and not by the lower level. There are 2 kinds of dukkha. One dukkha can be treated by medicine and the other one cannot. You will realize Nibbāna only by seeing the dukkha which can't be cured by medicine. It has no time for treatment. Dukkha can't be cured by medicine is the real dukkha. 2. To know the cause of dukkha, it causes by lobha samadaya, greed. 3. To know the diversity of dukkha, have to know 4 types, small dukkha, big dukkha, slow dukkha and fast dukkha. Add another 2, can be cured and cannot be cured by medicine. There are these 6 types of dukkha in the body only. Sayadaw did not explain them, but we can know it by contemplation. 4. To know the result of dukkha, for the worldling, puthajjana, it is followed by sorrow, lamentation, grief and despair. Tihetuka person who sees that impermanent dukkha extinguishes sorrow, lamentation, etc. will realize sukha nibbāna and dukkha is ended. 5. To know the cessation of dukkha, this is Nibbāna. 6. To know the way, it's the Noble Eightfold Path. A person develops the path factors will end dukkha and not by prayers. In the 6 points of dukkha connect the first and the 6th. After understanding about dukkha and develop with the path factors, contemplate the 5 khandhas with the path factors. T4. On sensuality, Kamma, in the beginning, Sayadaw talked about the practice of Vedanā. Anuruddha who had conceit, Māna, over-effort, Viriya, and worry which were intruding in his practice. Later he was corrected by Vedanā, Sariputta and became an arahant. Sayadaw reminds his disciples to be careful in their practice and have equanimity in all situations. Conceit, Māna, is greed, lobha. Sayadaw told the story of Anuruddha. Māna, over Viriya and worry were intruding in his practice, that without development. He had success in samatha practice, but not in the practice of insight. So the 3 hindrances for the realization of path and fruit are Māna, restlessness, uddhaka, and worry. Hinder for the lower level of knowledge to higher level of knowledge. If you don't have the realization, one of them is hindering of it. Observe with right attitude whatever arising during the practice. Don't let the worry, why I don't have it yet, coming in. You might ask how to do it. Just observe in accordance with the Dhamma, Dhammanu Dhammapatipati. Simply contemplate as it is. Before it shows its nature and observes from behind. Don't let other phenomena come in and mix up with it. Regarding to Viriya, in the four supreme efforts, there nothing is excessive and only equilibrium. Just observe what the Dhamma shows you and it will not take long and realize it. 1. To know sensuality. 2. To know the cause. 3. To know the diversity. 4. To know the result. 5. To know the cessation. 6. To know the way of practice. 1. Kamma means the nature of desire, wanting, affection. I am an affectionate person is a sweet word but hinder the knowledge. 2. Contact, phassa, is the cause of sensuality. For example, affection between each other is only after contact. Do you have any affection to your past lives' family members? No affection come, because no contact with them. 3. The diversity of karma is. These are the 5 desires for the form, sound, smell, taste and touch. 4. The result is. Living beings create many kammas because of greed, lobha. 5. The cessation of karma. The cessation of the 5 cords of karma. No. 3. Is Nibbāna. 6. The way of practice. The Noble Eightfold Path. There are 2 kammas. The object of sensuality, vathu karma, and defilements of sensuality, kilesa karma. These are the 5 khandhas and the mind attached to them. Kilesa karma is sticking to the objects of karma. Contemplate the vathu karma for insight. You can contemplate any one of the 5 khandhas. You can't realize Nibbāna because you can't separate the 2 kammas. You can't separate because you have something of attaching to. So contemplate the impermanent nature of vathu karma and the desire for clinging not come in. Instead it becomes the object of insight. Not become the object of affection. Have to know where the object of karma comes from. Take the object as permanence and it becomes sensuality. If the object of karma falls apart then kilesa karma falls off. You must clear about this point. It falls away by discerning impermanence. You can contemplate anything and it will fall away. If it's falling away and not exists for clinging, kilesa karma falls off. So anicca leads to Nibbāna is clear. Sayadaw gave an example as the cause of permanent sign. Nimitta created the defilement of sensuality with the story of Rahula. He went for alms round with the Buddha. Looking at the Buddha's form and his own had developed the permanent sign and became conceited. The Buddha knew his mind and asked him to contemplate impermanence. T5. On feeling, the Buddha had arisen in this world or not is depending on the knowledge of each person. If you discern anicca, dukkha and anatta in the khandhas, then the Buddha had arisen, and if you don't see it then it's not. You become Mr. and Mrs. Emptiness or zero, or a person without values. The 3 universal characteristics always exist without the Buddha appeared in this world or not. With the Buddha had arisen, we have the chance to know it. Mentioned in the Anguttara Nikaya, with the practice and discerning anicca, you should have gladness about that which will end your dukkha in this life. If you discern anicca it becomes sandhatiko equals visible here and now which is one of the qualities of Dhamma. There are 6 attributes of Dhamma. If you put more effort and will see Nibbāna at the ending of impermanence, which is akaliko equals non-temporal. You may want to ask me. I have discerned anicca but not arrive at the ending yet. It means the discernment is not mature yet. Sandhatiko is not mature yet. Svakato, the Dhamma is well expounded by the awakened one. Sandhatiko, it's visible here and now. Akaliko, non-temporal. These 3 attributes of the Dhamma are similar to learning, pariyati or nata parina, practice, patipati or tarana parina, and the fruit or result, pativeda or pahana parina. How do we know the ending of anicca when the discerning knowledge becomes mature? The arising phenomenon is dukkha and the passing away is also dukkha. Except only dukkha nothing exists. If you can make this decision the anicca will end. At the ending Nibbāna appears. 1. To know about feelings. Feeling has 3 kinds, pleasant, unpleasant and neutral feeling. 2. To know the cause of feeling. It's the contact, phassa. 3. To know the diversity of feeling. 3 kinds connection with sensuality and 3 kinds connection with practice. Pleasant, unpleasant and neutral with karma and pleasant, unpleasant and neutral with meditation. So totally 6 feelings. 4. To know the result of feeling. Because of feeling creates wholesome and unwholesome kammas. 5. To know the cessation of feeling. The ending of feeling is Nibbāna. 6. To know the way, the Noble Eightfold Path. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 1st of January. 1960. Follow behind with knowing. Only wrong view fall away will realize Nibbāna. Only by realizing Nibbāna, wrong view will cut off. Without the intellectual knowledge beforehand, the practice is hindering by wrong view inside and can't realize the Dhamma. Remember this point carefully. Wrong view and Nibbāna have connection. Then, Khemaka had self-view and annihilation view, Atta and Ukkeda Ditthi, so he couldn't realize the Dhamma even though he had practiced. Then, Ñāṇa had Atta Ditthi and view of permanence. Both of them realized the Dhamma after cleansing up their wrong views. By understanding the dependent arising of the khandha and wrong views fall away. As an example, the 4 mind khandhas arise with the contact of the sound and ear base. Sound and ear, contact are the cause, paticca samuppada, and the 4 mind khandhas are the result, paticca samuppāna. The 4 mind dharmas hear the sound. Not I hear or he hears. It's only the arising of the hearing dharma. Then identity view or self-view fall away. Don't be afraid of lobha taṇhā, greed craving, be afraid of the ignorance or unknowing. Most people are afraid of lobha and not the unknowing of impermanence, i.e., ignorance. If lobha comes, contemplate impermanence. If you don't, it will connect with action, kamma bhava. See the 12 links of dependent arising. The Buddha taught in the Satipatthana, if lobha comes contemplate lobha, if dosa comes contemplate dosa, etc. Therefore, don't be afraid of defilements arise but be afraid of without contemplation. Lobha by itself can't give the result. If lobha arises and you contemplate it, then no clinging and action come to be. If you don't contemplate, they will come. Dependent arising is not for reciting but for cutting defilements. So whatever mind arises, just know it. With the knowing will arrive to Nibbāna. You don't arrive there because you don't know it. Whatever dharma it may be after arising has to disappear. If you know the arising and you know the passing away. Anicca and Magga, Dukkha Sakka and Magga Sakka, Samadaya dies, Samadaya Sakka, and Dukkha ceases, Nirodha Sakka, craving not arises and new khandhas cease, the 4 noble truths are working together. You have to develop it with contemplation. Developing means knowing it again and again. Every time you know the mind arises, you are a wise person. Every time if you know the mind arising and will know the passing away. Then you are looking after your mind. By looking after your mind, safety is leading towards Nibbāna. From Citta Vagga, Dhammapada, why the Buddha asked you to look after your mind? Because they are thieves. They are the 3 thieves of craving, conceit and wrong view, taṇhā, māna and ditthi. They are coming in and stealing the impermanent dharmas. Therefore, you don't see it. Don't let them be this is mine, this I am and this is myself. Let them be impermanence. Don't be afraid of your mind. Be afraid of the 3 thieves. Every time mind arises, know the impermanence. The arising dharma is the truth of dukkha. Knowing is the truth of the path. Craving not arise is the ceasing of samadaya, the truth of the cause. No khandhas follow is the truth of cessation, Nirodha Sakka. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, 3rd to the 4th of January. 1960. Practice on the body, feeling and mind. It becomes mind and body by condensing those 5 khandhas. They are unstable and have the characteristic of deteriorating nature, viparinama lakkhana, and the truth of dukkha, dukkha sakha, or viparinama lakkhana dukkha sakham. This is still not your own experience yet. It's true or not, check it directly. This is a very important point on faith in Buddhism. You will find out that after arising and its disappearing, then it's unstable and deteriorating, viparinama. It's the truth of dukkha and does not bring happiness but only to suffering. It lets its normal nature to deteriorate and die. Therefore, it's suffering. You see your own suffering. If you contemplate literally on the attributes of the Dhamma and it becomes samatha practice, but use it as an insight practice. Sandhatiko, visible here and now, contemplate to see impermanence by yourself. Only impermanence exists so you discern anicca. By discerning anicca not continue to craving, clinging and action, Taṇhā, Upadana and Kamma. This is akaliko, non-temporal or timeless. With these 2 Dhamma attributes, qualities, you can realize Nibbāna. Why is that? Because it's not leading to the continuation of khandhas. Birth, old and death stop coming without continuation. It's Nibbāna. Only it becomes sandhatiko. You will see Nibbāna. In contemplation you are seeing feeling and knowing anicca. I want to make some corrections in insight practice. Most people think watching and contemplating means, give an example, a crane is watching at the outlet of a drainage farm for catching the fishes. It's not in this way. Whatever is arising and following behind with knowledge. Here watching is mindful attention and follow with panna, sati, panna. Whatever Dhamma shows you, observe with knowledge. Here Sayadaw compared watching and observing with the example of a crane and a fish are simple, but have some hidden meanings. Find out by contemplation. What are the differences between them? Insight practice is cutting off the continuation of the khandhas by oneself. In vipassana practice don't look at the bodily form. Observe the mind. Before, people were using the body for teaching. Using the 32 parts of the body and dividing them into group and the 4 elements etc. This is one of the common practice in the Thai forest tradition. It takes longer time. Human lifespan is short. So the best way is contemplating one's mind. For an example, the mind wants to eat something arises and then observe it as there is or not. You will find it as not there. Not existing there is anicca and the knowing is magga. You get the inside knowledge. Make effort to know it as not there when every state of mind arises. This is you are observing your own death. The later Mr. Smith observes the death of previous Mr. Smith. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 6th of January. 1960. The Dhamma to Nibbāna. This talk was based on a sutta in Satipatthana Samyutta. Then, Udayabbhaya asked the Buddha, please tell me the beginning to Nibbāna. If I know this will be arrived at the end. This is important. There can be also mistake in the beginning. The Buddha answered that if your precepts are clean and have right view, these are the beginning to Nibbāna. Right view is samma ditthi. Therefore, sila and panna are the beginning to Nibbāna. Udayabbhaya followed the Buddha's instruction and looked after the precepts and made his view right. And then practiced Satipatthana and became an arahant. There was also a monk named Ven. Bahya, not the Darusariya, followed the same instruction from the Buddha, also became an arahant. SN.35.89 Bahya S. IV. 63F. For purify the sila. Undertaking of the precepts is enough, for lay community. Right view is to become samma ditthi. Listening to Dhamma talks and have wise reflection, Yonasamanashikara. Dhamma talks are not ordinary ones, but vipassana Dhamma, i.e., Sakha Dhamma. Dana, Sila, Samatha Dhammas are not connection with the contemplation of anicca, dukkha and anatta. Right attention means Dhamma shows anicca and no anicca, shows dukkha and no dukkha, and shows anatta and no anatta. Listen talks also important. By listening, the Christian teachings can become a Christian. Going wrong in the beginning will not realize Nibbāna. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 31st of December, 1957 and 26th of January, 1960. Khemaka and the 60 monks. C. F. S.22.89. Khemasuttam. T1. Ven. Khemaka was praised by the Buddha as an excellent preacher. 60 monks stayed at Kosambi and Khemaka at the plum forest. Khemaka was very sick and the monks sent the youngest monk Dasaka to ask his health. Actually, they wanted to listen to his talk. First time he answered that he's not well and Vedanā were increasing. After Dasaka went back and repeated the news to the others. They asked him to go back and asked Khemaka that did he take the 5 khandhas as me or mine, wrong view and craving. Khemaka answered that he did not take each of the khandhas as me or mine, but the whole as I am, conceit. Here Sayadaw added some instructions for practice to dispel the sense of I or mine. The body is conditioned by Kamma, Chitta, Utu, temperature, and Ahara, food, so it belongs to others. The mind and mental factors arise because of sense objects and sense doors, Aramana and Vara, so it also belongs to others. Then observe their anicca nature. Dasaka went back and repeated what Khemaka had said and they listened and contemplated their bodies. The third time, they sent Dasaka back and asked him the question that if he didn't take the khandha as me or mine, then he was an arahant. Khemaka answered that he was not an arahant, but the khandhas still existed and took it as I am, mana. This point showed him as a non-returner, anagaman. Dasaka went back and repeated what Khemaka had said. After their contemplation they sent him back to ask Khemaka, does he take each khandha as I am? So Dasaka went back for the 4th time. After hearing the question, he himself with Dasaka went to Kosambi to see the monks. He did not take each khandha as me or mine, but took the whole khandhas as I or mine in speech only. He was already an anagaman. Here Sayadaw mentioned a very important point for yogis. He said wrong view comes from composite and to dispel it, have to see them separately. He suggested yogis to choose one khandha for insight, e.g., Vedanā Vipassana. Khemaka gave the simile of a lotus flower to explain the concept of I am, conceit. Here Sayadaw might use it from the commentary. It did not mention in the main Pali Sutta. He said the lotus smell came from the whole flower, not from each of the several parts. In the same way defilement arise from the composite nature of the 5 khandhas or concept. To clean away the kilesas, yogi should contemplate each khandha as anicca. The clothes after which it is washed have the smell of soap. To dispel the smell, it have to be put them into a perfume box until the smell is gone away. So Sekha, the learner, the lower Aryans, are like washed clothes. Arahant likes the washed clothes with perfume smell. During the whole time Khemaka instructed them, they were listening and observing their khandhas. So Khemaka himself and all the others became arahants. This point is interesting. There are 2 factors for contemplation. Listening Dharma talks and contemplation at the same time can lead to realization. We can't take watching things and listening things as insignificance. These are also educations. Nowadays mass media have a lot of polluted or poisonous things, which lead people to immoral standards in mind, speech and action. Moral values and standards are the foundation of all goodness. In this talk Sayadaw gave an important point that how to decide oneself as 3-rooted person, tihetuka, or 2-rooted person. If someone observes one's body and discerns anicca, he is 3-rooted and is not 2-rooted. More sure way is in the beginning seeing impermanence sparsely, continue with the practice, and develops into inner light or one of the 10 insight corruptions. If can develop into this stage, the yogi is sure he is Tihetuka and continue diligently with the practice will end dukkha. There are 10 inside corruptions: light, knowledge, rapture, tranquility, happiness, faith, exertion, mindfulness, equanimity and attachment. The yogi can take any one of the experiences as path knowledge and stop practicing. T2. Khemaka answered that his illness got worse. He used the I, or mine, as a normal usage. He did not have the wrong view of I, but still had the conceited I am. In the second time of answer he did not had I or mine regarded with the 5 khandhas, atta and attaniya, self and belong to self. It doesn't matter, we can use my son, my daughter and my belongings. But don't think it as a reality. Sotapanna knows by himself that the 5 khandhas are not me and not mine, but only exist as mind and body phenomena and impermanence of the truth of dukkha. This is Sotapanna knowledge. He just uses the me, or mine, only in speech and does not think it as a reality. The use of I in speech is not the main concern, only the view of taking it as a reality. I will talk about the way to dispel me or mine views. There are 2 views of I, the wrong view of I and conceit of I am. The great benefit of the falling away of ditthi I was mentioned in the Mahavagga Samyutta. There was a pond which had the length, width and depth of 50 yojanas each respectively. 1 yojana equals 8 or 13 miles. It's full of water in it. With the tip of a blade of kusa grass draws out some water from it for 7 times and shakes it out. 7 drops of water will fall out. Compare these 7 drops of water and the volume of water in the great pond. You will find the enormous differences. After becoming a Sotapanna, the suffering he will still has to encounter is only 7 drops of water. If not, the suffering waiting ahead for everyone is unspeakable. Any unwholesome dharma is coming from the wrong view of me or mine. Such kind of speech as, "What you think I am? Don't touch my belongings," etc. Even the Buddha could not help save some beings who had all the wrong views which came from Sakkaya Ditthi, identity view, e.g., his cousin Devadatta, Sakkaka etc. This is myself, this is mine, are perversions of view. These are not only wrong views, also perversions. So we must have right view. The views are becoming strong because of clinging to views. If continue to create Kamma leading to the plains of misery. Here Sayadaw gave many examples of painful rebirths of sentient beings. In animal kingdoms there are many uncountable varieties of them. All based on ditthi. Human beings take every part of their bodies and identify with it, even every single of hairs. Not only know the 5 khandhas as, "This is not myself," and, "This is not mine," but also contemplate to see impermanence. It leads to emptiness, sunnata, by discerning anicca and then leading towards sunnata Nibbāna from impermanence of sunnata. Contemplate any one of the khandhas by seeing impermanence and you will arrive at sunnata. Dasaka went back to the monks and they practiced in accordance with Khemaka's instruction. Contemplate the 5 khandhas as, "This is not mine, this is not myself," and then entered the stream. For the 3rd time they sent back Dasaka to ask Khemaka that if he took his khandhas as "This was not mine and not myself," so was he an arahant. Khemaka answered that he still took the mind and body as "I am," but not as me. Here are 2 points and important. The wrong view, I, has fallen away, but the conceit, I am, still exists. To cut off wrong view and contemplate to see impermanence, this process is not like a light bulb that becomes darkness after it's gone out. You have to see it as it's not there after arising. There are these 2 differences. The first one is light substitute with darkness. The second discerns the emptiness of the phenomena. In this way ditthi falls away. T3. All the arising dharmas are anicca. The Buddha said that sabbe sankhara anicca. All the conditioned phenomena are impermanent. Observe with knowledge and seeing that it's not there. The arising Dhamma, which is not itself anymore, is its characteristic, Lakkhana. Combined together Anicca, Lakkhana, characteristic of impermanence. Knowing is knowledge Ñāṇa. Combined together, Anicca Lakkhana Ñāṇa, the knowledge of the characteristic of impermanence. Whatever Dharma arises, knowing the arising as without a person or a being is free from wrong view, and then by contemplation and discern the characteristic of not there anymore. This is also free from wrong view. Therefore, when you are discerning of the characteristic of impermanence and become right view. In the same way the other two characteristic of dukkha and anatta have to be understood. Sabbe sankhara dukkha, all conditioned things are suffering. Sabbe dhamma anatta, all dharma, including Nibbāna, are not self. So whatever arises is dukkha and anatta. Direct seeing of them is Ñāṇa. Combing together, dukkha lakkhana, anatta lakkhana and dukkha lakkhana Ñāṇa, anatta lakkhana. Ñāṇa, anicca exists that it can show anicca. Therefore, I have to say whatever arising is anicca, dukkha and anatta. The Buddha also mentioned it. If their nature don't exist these characteristics, then they can't show anicca lakkhana, dukkha lakkhana and anatta lakkhana respectively. If you don't know the illness, you don't know a cure. In the contemplation, before is anicca lakkhana and after knowing is right view. If you know continuously in this way, kilesas can't arise. Defilement arises between anicca and lakkhana when yogi does not contemplate. If craving, conceit and wrong view arise, continue to clinging, action and lead to suffering. Every day we deposited a lot of kammas. It's good to ask that kamma is impermanent so it becomes fruitless. No, it's not fruitless. Craving and clinging, Taṇhā, Upadana, are keeping it with them. If Taṇhā never ceases, then kamma never ceases. Taṇhā releases kamma one by one after it has finished. Therefore, the Buddha referred to Taṇhā as a tailor. It's like a tailor continuously connecting pieces of cloth together. When right view can come in between the arising Dharma, then Taṇhā and Upadana cease and kamma also ceases. Even though kammas are arising and passing away by themselves, Taṇhā and Upadana deposited all the kammic energy, power, with them. After killing him, the deposited energy become fruitless. As an example, the merits of the Bodhisattva became inoperative after his enlightenment and passed away. Therefore, Taṇhā is the root cause of all the wholesome and unwholesome dharmas. After destroyed the root, the tree died. After it died and can't bear flowers and fruits, then no more trees grew out again. So every time khandha arises and with right view comes in, ditthi and Taṇhā die away. If all wrong views die, and then become a stream enterer. If all Taṇhā die, then one becomes an arahant. The fourth time the monks sent Dasaka to ask Khemaka. But Khemaka went with Dasaka to their place for instruction. They asked him, "Do you take 5 khandhas as I am, or each of them as I am?" "I don't take each one of them as I am, but to the whole khandhas." An example is, does the smell come from the petals or the pollen, etc.? In a lotus flower. In reality it can be say the whole one. In the same way I don't take each one of the khandha as I am but the whole as I am. If you want to cut off the conceit, then contemplate the impermanence of the mind and body again. To give an example for conceit is after the clothes are washed clean, it still has the smell of the soap. Put them into a perfume box to take off the smell.